Well, it's been some time now since I did any tool and cutter grinding, and I've just finished a milling job, milling a short piece of steel for a job, and the steel was quite tough, really tough stuff, and the side and face cutter I was using on the Tom Senior, it's got blunt, so I really need to sharpen it up. Now, if you've seen my previous videos, you'll only see me grind end mills and slot drills and the like. Well, this time I'm going to do a side and face, which I've never shown before. I've ground quite a few of these over the years, and they're fairly straightforward to grind, providing there's no big damage or chips out of them. It's just a matter of just going across and cleaning them up. Now, the side and face comes in different kinds, and I've got another one here which has got inserts. These are inserted teeth, and a company called Galtona used to make these inserts, hand cutters, and they used to make quite a lot of them. I don't know, I don't think this is a Galtona. There's no mark on it what it tells me, but it's a bit specialised at putting the new teeth in. But the beauty of this kind of cutter is that if you do really badly damage a tooth, it can be taken out and another one put in, and without affecting the rest of the body. Just a matter of regrinding. They are serrated. They've got serrations on the back which correspond to serrations in these grooves, and they're very good. And they're a little bit different to grind. You can't really grind these like you can ordinary side and face. You've really got to grind them on a fixed tooth rest like you do a slot drill or an end mill. It's guided over. I think I've shown on my videos how to do that, and it's ground likewise. You could, at a pinch, you might get away with it by putting the thing in a workhead and angle it and grind it as a straight tooth like the ordinary side and face. The trouble is, then you'd have to mic it to make sure that it is exactly level and parallel, and then you'd go across and index each tooth. I wouldn't recommend that. You really don't need a fixed kind of tooth rest to grind these correctly. But now another one, here we are, which is a larger bore one. This is a bigger bore which uses a different diameter arbor, but this one's been ground, and it really does need some secondary on it. You can see that the tooth width there on the cutting edge is a bit wide. It'll probably be okay, no wrong with it, but I will put a secondary on that. And the other one I need to do is my little saw. This is quite a good one. It's an 1/8 thickness, and it's made by, I believe, Summit. Yeah, Summit. That's an old brand. I don't think they're in the go now. They might be, but I doubt it. And they're very, very good quality. So that's another one I shall be doing, hopefully. So we'll take it from there. Now, these cutters I'd borrowed from a friend of mine because I did not have a suitable side and face. The saw blade is my own, by the way. This one was already damaged, and I don't think I'll be able to grind out all this deep damage. The inserted blade cutter you can see there in the background is slightly marked. I didn't use this cutter, but there's some small nicks in it, and I will actually grind that as well. Now, to grind this side and face cutter, I'm using an arbor I've used for other kinds of cutters, and it just more or less fits over, and then a bush and a nut and a large washer, and that's all you really need. Well, that's all I really need, I should say, and then that goes between the centres. Now, just before we make a start on these side and face, I'm just going to make sure that the the table is actually parallel. The centres are actually parallel to the table, and I'm just going to clock it up there, and that's all. That's quite near enough. They're in 10, so these divisions, so it should be good enough for the side and face ODs. Now I've just got the cutter which is on the arbor in between the centres. It's just a matter now of getting everything lined up, and then the tooth rest can be set up. Now it's just a matter of making sure everything's on centre line. I'll wind the wheel head down slightly to match the scriber. I'm not going to use this wheel. I shall be changing it to a smaller diameter cup wheel. And there's everything's lined up on centre line. Now what I've done here, I've got the side and face in between centres mounted on its arbor. I've now got the small cup wheel on. It's better to have a smaller wheel really than the large one which I had on previously. Now what I need to do now with this is to make sure that the tooth is on centre line. Now the wheel head is on line with the centres, and I have a small gauge here with a flat, and that's set to the exact centre out. All I do is then I'll just make sure that it's set there, it's resting on this point, this flat point, and then I will adjust my my tooth rest so that it just touches underneath the tooth. Now this is spring loaded, but it's graduated in thous. So when I work out the diameter, so when I work out the calculation, it will enable me to just lower the tooth rest. It's just a matter now of making sure that the actual point of the tooth rest is just touching underneath, and that's about there. Take the gauge away, and that's in the correct position. And to get the correct angle, as I say, I need to calculate the 7 degrees by the diameter of the wheel, and then multiply that by the constant 0.0087. Now the diameter of this wheel is 3 3¼ inches. Right, now what I need to do now is to calculate the 7 degrees by the diameter of the wheel. So the wheel is 3.250 in diameter, so multiply that by 7, you get 22.75, and then you multiply that again by 0.0087, and we get 0.197. So that's the amount the tooth rest needs lowering down to get the 7 degrees relief angle. Now this tooth rest is graduated. It's got a micrometer. I'll just bring it to 0 there. So what I need to do now really is to just lower that down at 0.197 thou, and it'll give the correct relief. So that's 175, 80, 85, 90, 95, 96, 97. So that's 197. So that is the correct position for 7 degrees. So what I shall do now is give a trial cut and just measure the fall off of the relief, and that should do for the rest of the teeth. and that is looking pretty good. We'll just measure the fall off now of that. Right, now I've just ground the first tooth. I'm just going to check for drop off clearance. Should be okay. And this dial indicator's in thous, so I'll just see, make sure that I've moved the tooth rest out of the way, and then it's on just 0, and then it's falling off 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and that is clear. So we're okay with that. Just make sure. Yeah, we have tooth clearance there, and that'll be approximately 7 degrees. So we're good to go to do the rest of the teeth. And there I've got the clock set, the dial indicator. I'll just let the pointer go. It's really not critical. It's not for home use. It's not all that really critical to get the correct clearance. A little bit less or a bit more won't really do any harm. I don't normally do this. If I'm going to regrind a cutter of my own, I usually just touch on where I've ground it before, and that suffices. Now, some textbooks advocate grinding the opposite way, such as this. The wheel is the cutter is the opposite way around. Now, the idea of this is that the wheel grinds away from the tooth and doesn't leave any burr. All the years I've been grinding side and face and various other cutters, when I was in the tool room and when I worked for companies that manufactured side and face and highly specialised side and face, we never ever ground cutters like this. They were always done in the conventional way. They're supposed to get rid of the burr. Grinding the other way is supposed to leave a small burr on the tooth face, but it's never bothered us when we've been grinding them. There's never been a burr there of any kind, and if there is, you can stone it off with a small stone, but doing that there's always a risk of blunting the edge again. The first time you use a cutter that's freshly sharpened, if there's any burr or anything there, it'll just disappear within first cut. So we never ever did it, and we did quite a lot of cutters for a lot of companies, including Fords and Rolls-Royce. And I wouldn't really recommend grinding this way, because there's always that danger that if you lose concentration and you forget, you could actually just cause a nick in the tooth, and there's also a real possibility that it could spin, so you'd have a nice groove all the way around. And also I think it's a dangerous way. If you do them that way, you need some kind of a dog at the back to really make sure that you hold it against the tooth rest, which will be above there. And of course, having a tooth rest there is awkward. You'd have to have it from wheel head if you've got room, or from the table. Not recommended really, so I wouldn't do it that way. Just make sure that there's right. So now we've got the first tooth done, so I shall go around and do the rest. I shall just ease off slightly at the feed. And doing this way, you don't need to hold anything. The cutter will be, the tooth will be held in place by the wheel itself. So that's a lot safer. The only thing you must remember is to make sure that you're well clear of the wheel. Don't try and index to the next tooth when you're nearly on the wheel, because you could actually catch the side of the cutter. Now the feel of that, this cutter's been ground slightly out of true because it's not touching on these teeth, and that's not wheel wear. So we'll just feed on a little bit. This is a very badly damaged tooth, and this one, in fact this will not grind out because there's too big a lump out of it. Now we're back to the first tooth, and we're feeding on a little bit more further round. It's actually taking more off, so we're feeding a bit more. There we are, the badly chipped teeth. And back to start. Now it needs just a tiny amount back on, just to compensate for the wheel wear. So we just lightly touch on. And back round. The first tooth. Here's the badly damaged tooth, which really can't be ground. Well, it can be ground down. It's not going to make any difference to performance at cutter. If that's ground back down to where the tooth is complete, I mean quite a large amount of grinding on the other teeth, but it's not really necessary. It won't make a right lot of difference, and that completes that. But I could really grind this a super easy way by again making sure that the tooth rest is on line, and then tilting the wheel head and grinding with the angle of the wheel head set to 7 degrees, and it's quite an easy way to grind. But there's not everyone that has a wheel head which will tilt at an angle, but that is the actual ideal way. If you can do it, is to do a tilting wheel head grind. That's definitely the best way. And then when you come to put the secondary on, you don't have any problems with catching the teeth above if it's a finer tooth cutter.